look, it does seem weird that something can be a non-profit open source and somehow transform itself into a for-profit closed source. I mean, this would be like let's say you funded an organization to save the Amazon rainforest, and instead they became a lumber company and chopped down the forest and sold it for money. And you'd be therefore like, well, wait a second, that's the exact opposite of what I gave the money for.
Yeah.
Is that legal? That doesn't seem legal. And if it is, and in general, if it is legal to start a company as a nonprofit and then take the IP and transfer it to a for-profit that then makes tons of money, shouldn't everyone start? Shouldn't that be the default?
Right.
Elon Musk just shocked the world. The Tesla CEO has taken a bold step that no one else would dare to take, and it's interesting not only because it's going to create a new dimension in AI, but it could also push Tesla further into the limelight.
Wild to see. It also is wild because we were talking about what the outcome of this case could be. It's unique in that Elon Musk is one of the few people who actually has standing in some ways to bring a case like this.
Right.
But then you have to think about what the quote-unquote damages are, if you will, if you're a judge. He is seeking to open up AI or open up OpenAI so that it is effectively truly an open source situation.
And to stop Microsoft from using it.
And to stop Microsoft from using it. The question is whether a judge would stop that, or a judge would say, we'll give you back your $50 million initially because those are the damages to you personally. But it also means that we could get real discovery in the case about all of the things that have transpired,
including the board,
and how OpenAI has operated over these several years.
And what Microsoft knows. That's part of what they're pushing for, too.
Right.
He says that only, in the lawsuit, that only OpenAI knows what's in this ChatGPT 4. And they suspect Microsoft does, too.
And this is a thing that we've been talking about in AI, open source versus closed source. You have that European company, Mistral, who also just raised money from Microsoft, by the way. They're open source. Facebook is open source. You have Google and OpenAI as closed source. You can't tell. One thing that really stuck out to me is part of the case against OpenAI here, the argument that Musk is laying out, is they've achieved what's called artificial general intelligence. AGI is what the acronym is for. They're alleging ChatGPT 4 has already achieved that. If you talk to OpenAI right now, if you talk to the folks at Microsoft right now, they say, no way, we're nowhere close to AGI. So this whole part of this case, or a good chunk of this case,
you think rests on that?
That's what it sounds like. It says we believe, or something to that effect, like just based on our outside view, they've already achieved this milestone of artificial general intelligence, thereby negating the deal between Microsoft and OpenAI, because their deal says once OpenAI achieves AGI, they can't use it.
I read the case differently. I read that, but I don't believe that the whole case rests on that.
No, it doesn't rest, but that's a huge argument. If the case rests on that,
there's actually a problem. I think that is a component part.
But it's the nonprofit stuff
of the case. I think that the other issues are, because otherwise, if you were a judge, you could rule against this case in about 10 seconds and say there's no AGI.
Yeah.
But if you looked at how they did it, they separated the issues so that is sort of one of.
It's the contract, right? I mean, it's breach of contract.
And the contract is the founding agreement.
Correct.
That
they post in there. Yeah.
That Musk and Altman sat down and agreed to, and I guess the sanctity of that contract is going to be what this whole thing is.
Exactly, and they have to prove, and we know how the structure got changed. OpenAI, they would tell you the way we have it structured today, we're still a nonprofit. We just have this other division here that they call capped profit. What that really means, we've never quite understood. So that seems to be the division they're going after and saying this is effectively becoming the R&D version or situation for Microsoft.
The bigger question I have is whether, if you're OpenAI and Microsoft, you actually want to settle this case, because the truth is, and to me this goes to I'm of the view that this case is all about discovery.
Yeah.
This case has almost nothing to do with anything else except
there's no money. They're not asking for money.
And therefore, if you don't want to participate in the discovery process,
just write a check.
The question is, what kind of check could you write? And is there a check that you could write?
Or does the richest guy in the world want a check?
No, I don't think he does. And so then the question is sort of, how does this really play out?
There's this drama between Elon Musk and OpenAI, an organization developing super smart AI, supposedly for the good of humanity, and one that he co-founded way back in 2015. According to latest reports, Musk wants OpenAI to go back to its non-profit roots. You see, back then, its mission was all about making sure AI didn't turn out to be dangerous, but now, OpenAI has partnered up with Microsoft for a cool $13 billion, letting them develop some seriously impressive tech, but with a profit focus. This isn't sitting well with Musk, though. In fact, he's worried about AI falling into the wrong hands and becoming a billionaire's plaything. So, here's the catch. This spat his many wonderings what it could mean for Tesla's AI, a department that Elon Musk is very involved in. The thing is, Tesla's self-driving cars are all about the fancy AI tech, and some speculate that this fight might slow things down, but could it really?
Guest has unique insights into the mind of Elon Musk and his relationship with Altman. We want to bring in Walter Isaacson. He is Perella Weinberg Advisory Partner, Tulane professor, CNBC contributor, but maybe most importantly in this context, his book, Elon Musk. For that book, he had unprecedented access to the entrepreneur for 2 years. For those who are saying this is something that just blew up, Walter, they haven't been watching what Elon Musk has been saying and doing over the last period of time. This OpenAI was kind of a slow train wreck taking place with this lawsuit, just the latest in this. Maybe a lot of people who know him well, not surprised that it came.
Absolutely. One of the things that surprised me as I was traveling with him for 2 years is how focused he was on AI. And it goes back to 2012 when he was worried that DeepMind by Dennis Hassabis and others is going to be sold to Google. And he was worried that two big companies, Google and Microsoft, might someday control AI. So he and Sam Altman started OpenAI. And what Musk wanted was it to be open source, and nonprofit. And that was what they decided at the beginning. Why he's so upset is because, obviously, as you know, OpenAI is no longer open source, and Microsoft has 49% of a for-profit arm of it. So exactly a year ago, soon after he took over Twitter in February 2023, he summoned Sam Altman to the Twitter headquarters and said, bring the founding documents. This is outrageous that Musk said he funded a whole lot of the OpenAI originally as a nonprofit, and now Sam had turned it into a for-profit. And near the end of my book, there's a wonderful scene where Elon Musk asked me back to Austin, and we sit outside by a backyard, and he says, I've got to start my own AI company because this is a disaster, what's happening with OpenAI.
So for Vinod Khosla and documents and memos we've seen from inside OpenAI just this morning, they're all saying that this is basically sour grapes from Elon Musk because he's no longer involved. What would you say to that?
Well, certainly he has his backup. He's no longer involved. At that meeting I talked about at the end of the book a year ago, Altman says, do you want shares? Do you want shares in OpenAI? And he says, no. Musk says, I'm not looking for money. I'm wanting to keep it so that Microsoft and Google don't dominate the industry. And he started his own AI company. I think Musk does things because he's got a pretty strong passion for what he feels has to be done on AI. So I would say calling it just sour grapes doesn't nearly get to the depths of the passion that Musk feels about this.
There's been a lot of advances in the field of AI recently, and more advances are expected in the future. Business leaders are making big advancements in investing in towards AI, engaging in advanced practices known to accelerate AI development and increase scalability, and all these things are showing signs of success. Tesla is heavily invested in AI, and it's one of the competitive advantages that it's got, especially in the automotive industry. So it's no surprise that the company is benefiting from the latest gen of AI. And even this latest drama could be a stepping stone for Tesla into the AI sphere. Hey guys, welcome back to Tesla Tomorrow. Tesla's got its own AI team completely separate from OpenAI, and they're still pushing the boundaries. So maybe a little healthy competition between the two could even accelerate progress, don't you think? While it seems like Musk's issue with OpenAI has nothing to do with Tesla, we still think that there are several opportunities that await Tesla in all of these. So what are those opportunities, you may ask? Well, we're about to talk about them. But before we do, if you're liking this type of content, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on post notifications to keep up to date on everything going on with Tesla. First, with OpenAI potentially losing access to some sweet Microsoft cash, their research and development might take a hit, and that could open up a new window of opportunity for Tesla's AI team to shine. The automaker could potentially leapfrog OpenAI in certain areas, becoming a frontrunner in specific AI applications like self-driving cars. Also, while the whole non-profit versus profit debate has sparked a public conversation about the ethics and risks involved in AI development, we think this could benefit Tesla in the long run. How? Well, it's simple. By championing responsible AI development and staying true to its good of humanity narrative, Tesla could build a stronger public trust and attract top AI talent who share its vision. And think of this as a PR win disguised as a tech dispute.
Questions that have been raised, Walter, about whether Elon Musk can bring this suit. I mean, obviously, if you're looking at the founding documents, that's the best legal argument that they have in this, right? But others in the nonprofit world say that typically, if you're questioning whether a nonprofit has strayed from its mission, that's really the responsibility and duty of attorneys general. We've spoken with other people this morning who say that they hope this lawsuit brings attention and maybe puts some pressures on some of those political types like an AG.
Yeah, I think you're already seeing the attorneys general look at this. And yes, the law is pretty unclear in the sense of, can you sue a nonprofit for becoming a for-profit? But as Musk said, hey, wait a minute. If this can happen, anybody can do it. Instead of saying, I'm going to raise money with venture capital to start a company, you say, I'm going to start a nonprofit. Give me tax-deductible dollars, and then we'll turn it into a profit-making thing. So it doesn't smell right.
No, correct. I guess I just wonder what you think the next logical step is, what a court does with this lawsuit and what it spurs from politicians who would be much more interested in sitting up. I guess this does have the potential for bringing discovery for any of those politicians looking at this.
Yeah, I'm not sure this lawsuit will ever go to a full trial, and he's not asking for very clear remedies. If you read the lawsuit, he's not saying he wants huge amounts of money. I guess he'd get the money he put into the nonprofit back, but that's not what he wants. He wants it to make it so that it once again becomes a nonprofit and that it breaks the contract with Microsoft. If you read deep into it, it says that contract with Microsoft should be null and void now because ChatGPT-4 and beyond is going to be artificial general intelligence. This is a very technical thing, but it's not just what they contracted for. It's going to be able to do almost anything. It's going to be able to reason and have intention. And this frightens Musk. And he says he wants as a remedy for OpenAI no longer to have this contract with Microsoft.
I mean, that raises some pretty serious questions for investors involved in all sides of this. Microsoft, about the biggest technology company out there, one of the biggest public companies out there, taking on Sam Altman and OpenAI, which is seen at the front of the AI race. All of this happening with one of the world's richest men on the other side of this. How does this break down? And what do you hear just in terms of, I guess, scuttle from other investor classes on this?
You know, for 12 years, Musk has been worried about just 2 or 3 companies dominating the AI space. And when he and Altman started meeting back in, 10, 12 years ago, they said the more companies that get into it, the safer it's going to be. Now, that's a philosophical argument. I think he read Isaac Asimov and other science fiction. And he even talked to President Obama about it. So what his main worry is that the way this is all shaking out, you're going to have Google and Microsoft totally dominating this industry. So he's going to do whatever he can to make sure, especially when it gets to, as I called it, artificial general intelligence, AGI, which he has some advantage because he's got more than 800 billion frames a week of video from Tesla cars. He has the type of things in which you can train real-world AI, like robots. He wants to make sure that this is much more of an open process, not dominated by Microsoft and Google.
There's also a competitive fire that ignites this whole thing. Think about it. With OpenAI potentially feeling the heat, they might be pushed to innovate even faster. And this could in turn push Tesla to do the same. Imagine 2 tech giants locked in an AI arms race. churning out groundbreaking advancements at breakneck speed, and that would be absolutely good for the future of AI. Tesla plans to complete its autonomy and then use this to get it going in the AI sphere. But to do that, it needs massive data collection and more AI. Even though it seems like it's still a long way from there, we do believe that Tesla cars are capable of autonomy, particularly with more than 500,000 Teslas worldwide that are sending data back to the automaker to train its autonomous car changes. This data will give Tesla a big advantage in the race to get more self-driving cars out on the road. The thing is, Tesla's strong focus on AI technologies, particularly in the areas of autonomous driving and enhanced driver assistance systems, all support the company's long-term success. The automaker is well positioned to meet market demand for AI vehicles, mainly because it's developing and using autonomous power for its cars and robots. The company also believes that an advanced AI approach to vision and planning supported by the efficient use of decision-making tools is the only way to achieve comprehensive solutions for autonomous driving and electric robots.
Artificial intelligence is certainly going to profoundly change the world. I mean, one of the most significant ways is self-driving. So we've been putting a lot of effort into self-driving technology for cars. You don't see it quite as much in Europe because we first have to make it work in the US before we increase the complexity of trying to make it elsewhere in the world. But I think we're quite close to having the car be fully autonomous. So for example, like right now, I'm in Austin, and if I wanted to drive, say, to the airport, the car could take me to the airport with no interventions. And all it's using are digital neural nets, in other words, artificial intelligence, and cameras. So there's no LiDAR, radar, nothing. And in fact, if you think about how humans drive cars, humans are biological neural nets, and we use eyes. So it's the eyes and biological neural nets. The analog is digital. The analog for digital is cameras and digital neural nets. This is working remarkably well. It has been quite difficult to do this because it turns out that in order for this to work, the car has to really be quite fully intelligent. Really, as a subset, for example, it has to learn how to read everything and how to assess intention among drivers and pedestrians. So you end up creating sort of a baby artificial general intelligence to solve this. But this will obviously be extremely profound. And obviously, I'm talking about automotive here. I'll get into the broader question in a minute. But the average use of a passenger vehicle is only about 10 hours per week out of 100 hours. At the point at which it is autonomous, I think you would see probably a third of the hours being used because it would be like a taxi. Maybe my guess is like 50 to 60 hours, which means that the utility of a passenger vehicle would increase by a factor of 5, and this is gigantic. But we'll see. So that's automotive. Then there's what people have certainly experienced online, where you can ask it a question and ask for an essay or a picture or to understand a picture, and that is progressing rapidly. What I'm seeing in terms of AI compute is I've never seen any technology advance faster than this. The artificial intelligence compute coming online appears to be increasing by a factor of 10 every 6 months. Like, obviously that cannot continue at such a high rate for forever, or it will exceed the mass of the universe, but I've never seen anything like it. And this is why you see NVIDIA's market cap being so gigantic, because they currently have the best neural net chips. I mean, I think didn't NVIDIA's market cap exceed the GDP of Canada or something recently? Anyway, it was quite high. So, yeah. It may go higher, who knows? The chip rush is bigger than any gold rush that has ever existed.
Tesla is one of the biggest players in AI, and Elon Musk is the biggest player in all of it. Musk is one of the founders of OpenAI, and according to him, ChatGPT showed how far AI can go. In fact, the technology is starting to make waves, and it could be the start of an even bigger AI solution. Similarly, Tesla is the only company in the world to develop a general driving solution based on AI. The automaker's FSD system is already reaching new heights, and Tesla cars are expected to be self-driving within just a few years. Now, one of Tesla's main goals is to make its vehicles unique, and the automaker is using big data and AI to achieve that. For these cars to drive themselves, self-driving cars will continuously interpret images from sensors and machine vision cameras and then use that information to decide what to do next. They use AI to recognize and predict the next movements of cars, pedestrians, and cyclists. For its cars to be truly autonomous, Tesla's got to collect the right data and then train its algorithms and feed its AI. The data collected from these cars will help car users plan their movements from time to time and decide what to do each time. For example, when a driver should stay in his current lane, change lanes, pass the front car, or maintain the current position. More training data will inevitably lead to better performance, and this is where Tesla's got the edge. The automaker's access to vast amounts of data is one of its key competitive edges, and this data from Tesla's customer base has served its cars since its inception. Tesla's work on self-driving cars is a part of its ongoing mission to put AI at the heart of everything it does. As Tesla celebrates its new projects, which include plans to transform the energy grid and home electronic panels, AI and big data will greatly help the company.
Welcome back to The Exchange. A flood of headlines on the AI front today. The fight between Elon Musk and OpenAI has entered a new round, with the startup now publishing a trove of bombshell emails from Elon Musk himself and a Microsoft engineer sounding the alarm about the company's AI tool, Copilot. So let's tackle all of it with our Deirdre Bosa, also Steve Kovac for today's Tech Check. Steve, we're going to start with you and the latest on these emails. Just how important, significant, bombshell, if you will, are they?
Very bombshelly, if that's a word, quite bombshelly, because what these emails showed, and these are internal emails between Elon Musk and OpenAI executives from, 2016, 2017, basically showing Elon Musk contradicting many of the things he alleged in his lawsuit last week. That includes, in the lawsuit, Elon Musk says OpenAI needs to remain a nonprofit organization. In the emails years earlier, he says they need to be a for-profit organization, or let me take it over as CEO, absorb it into Tesla, which last I checked is also a for-profit organization. And also saying, you guys need to raise, $1 billion yesterday in order to achieve what you want to achieve. So all of it kind of flies right in the face of many of the most important allegations here. He believes that OpenAI should, go back to its original mission of being a nonprofit organization. But again, if you're an OpenAI lawyer, you're going to be giddy to ask him in court why he said exactly the opposite before he left the company.
Exhibit A, B, C, or whatever, so to speak.
We have all this is discovery before discovery happens.
Okay, all right. So Deirdre, Musk is also mentioning, though, Alphabet/Google in some of these emails as well.
Yes, so there's 4 emails. Within those 4 emails, he mentions Google 12 times. And what this really tells us is back then, and he says when Google was worth $800 billion in market cap, they seemed uncatchable. What Elon Musk says in these emails is that Google is so far ahead that it would be nearly impossible for OpenAI to catch up with Google if it doesn't have the right tools, the right funding, etc. And he points out, he says, Tesla's the only path that could even hope to hold a candle to Google. Even then, the probability of being a counterweight to Google is small. It just isn't zero. So we've talked a lot about how Google has pioneered generative artificial intelligence technology, but then more recently, how it's really botched the rollout of its key flagship product, which is Gemini. So how did we get here, right? It raises a lot of questions that investors, that onlookers have already been asking in recent months. Is the management the right management to lead Google in this incredibly important era? And Elon Musk's emails are a reminder of years ago how far ahead Google was. So to be at this position when it's sort of seen as lagging behind is really quite remarkable.
Well, it's seen as lagging behind. There's a company in particular that is lagging behind right now, and that's Microsoft because of its big OpenAI interest. So let's talk about that a little bit more. CNBC.com spoke to one artificial intelligence engineer over at Microsoft who is now warning about the risks of the company's AI tool. This is Copilot. Deirdre, Copilot is the successor, the next iteration of Cortana, the next iteration of its earlier ambitions. What exactly is the danger, and what is the flagging that's being done right now by some of these people, like the engineer at Microsoft?
Right. So let's be fair. Whenever we get a new generative AI chatbot, there's problems. Ever since ChatGPT came onto the scene, there was problems with bias, misinformation, full-on hostility. We've talked a lot about Gemini's problems, its image generation, being diverse in situations that don't call for any diversity. So this is the latest, and this centers on Microsoft's flagship generative AI product, Copilot, right? And this amazing article that was written, this report from Hayden Field at CNBC, shows that there's even internal concern. She talked to an insider at Microsoft that has been, it's called red teaming, testing out the chatbot, and finding what's remarkable about this is that entering a simple prompt like pro-choice is bringing up disturbing images. And in the past, when we've talked about botched rollouts, it's usually people kind of cherry picking, looking for things and trying to almost trick the chatbot into saying things that it shouldn't be saying. In this case, it's very serious because even just asking for pro-choice is bringing up some really disturbing images. So Google has a problem on its hands, and it's unlikely this is the last we're going to see it from any chatbot. It reminds us of how early we are and that these bias, misinformation problems are going to be with us throughout for the next few years, and that's going to be especially important in a year like this, which is an election year.
So, Steve, I'm going to give you the last word here. There was such a race to get out of the gate for these things that people wanted to plant their flags so quickly in this process that you could argue some of that rush to market is what led to some of these early stage, early inning, because that's what it is, mess ups.
Right.
Is there a feeling right now that the artificial intelligence rollout that we're seeing could be hampered in the public view because of such public mishaps that have happened with the biggest players when it comes to rolling out artificial intelligence?
Yes and no. It's not just about the mishap and the fact that you put in this prompt and you get some nasty images back, or maybe some people felt that Google's Gemini was too woke. What really you should be paying attention to here with this Microsoft case is this engineer has been flagging these issues internally through the proper channels for I don't know how long, but for a while. He wasn't being listened to. Microsoft, again, he put it out publicly even. Microsoft told him to take it down his LinkedIn post. He was reporting it internally as you're supposed to. Nothing happened. The fact that this person felt he had to go to CNBC and tell them, the fact that he had to go to the FTC, write a letter to Microsoft board, tells you that when all this started a year ago, we had Microsoft and everyone saying we're going to do it smartly, we're going to do it safely, even as in the lead up to the elections, telling us that we're going to be safe and secure and so on and so forth. But when their own internal people are telling them, hey, these are problems, these are happening, these are against our policies, and they do nothing until it gets reported in the press, that should lead skepticism every time one of these companies come out and say, we're doing this safely, just trust us, just trust us, just trust us, because it just takes one example to prove you guys aren't taking it seriously internally. I think this is really emblematic of, it's not just a Microsoft problem. In this rush to get things out, they're willing to kind of put some of those positions aside in order to get it out faster and quicker and cheaper. So have a heavy dose of skepticism moving forward when you hear these companies saying we're developing AI responsibly, because we have evidence they're not.
All right, Steve Kovac, Bosa.
At a previous AI conference held by Tesla, Elon Musk said that Tesla is a company doing deep AI work in devices at the decision-making and training level, and this can then be used in applications beyond just self-driving cars. Even ARK Invest CEO Cathie Wood agrees with this. Many people think of Tesla as a car brand, but Cathie Wood thinks of it much more than that. In fact, she once said that Tesla is the biggest smart play. According to Wood, AI will drive Tesla's stock price from less than $300 today to $2,000 by 2027, and driverless cars will be at the forefront of this change. She also predicted that self-driving cars will generate nearly $10 billion in revenue worldwide by 2038. This is the beauty of AI. AI can multitask and offload work from existing resources, reducing the time it takes to complete tasks. Not only will you be able to get complex tasks done, but you'll be saving money and labor costs. Right now, Tesla is the only company in the world developing a general driving solution based on AI. The automaker's FSD system is reaching new heights, and Tesla cars are expected to be self-driving within just a few years. However, while it is safe to admit that there is so much that Tesla can currently benefit from in this recent drama between Elon Musk and OpenAI, it's also important to remember that this is all speculation, and there is a flip side to it too. If OpenAI crumbles under the pressure of this lawsuit, access to some of the cutting-edge research that they've been doing could dry up, and that might slow down Tesla's AI progress, forcing the automaker to play catch-up, so it's a bit of a wait-and-see situation. For now, the whole thing is pretty messy, but what we do know is that the race for AI dominance is heating up, so whether it's under the banner of saving humanity or turning a profit, the future of AI is gonna be fascinating, and Tesla, with or without OpenAI, is sure to be at the forefront, so buckle up because this ride is just getting started. But what are your thoughts? Will this latest event between Elon Musk and OpenAI have any effect on Tesla? Let us know down below, and if you want to know more about what Tesla's been up to over the last few days, go ahead and click on this next video on your screen. See you there.